Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Associate Minister for the Environment. What is his most immediate priority in the portfolio?
Honourable Andrew Hoggard.
Mr Speaker, thank you. My highest priority is delivering on the Government's 100-day plan to begin stopping the implementation of new significant natural areas, known as SNAs. SNAs are an unjustified and unhelpful intrusion into private property rights and are getting in the way of productive farming. ACT's coalition agreement with National commits to stop the implementation of new SNAs and to review their operation. I have been working with officials and I intend to take a plan to Cabinet on the most effective way to do that.
Supplementary. What examples has he seen recently that highlights the challenge farmers and other landowners face from SNAs on their property?
Mr Speaker, landowners have told me that if you're unlucky enough to have an SNA identified on your property, you are likely to be prohibited from undertaking any new activity or development in that area. I have also seen that these restrictions will be applied to areas that are not very significant. For example, a sheltered gully with some trees, a bit of Madagascar, which offers a great sheltered area to graze a few sheep after shearing or in a storm.
What is the effect of those restrictions?
Mr Speaker, apart from being a disincentive to voluntarily conserve areas of Indigenous biodiversity, farmers know well what happens when the ability to actively manage land is restricted. If SNAs are applied to areas with low biodiversity value, then without the landowner managing pest and weed control, it will just go to gorse, broom and wilding pines.
What will he do in the long term to restore property rights and protect Indigenous biodiversity?
Mr Speaker, it is good. Landowners are already voluntarily protecting areas of native biodiversity. Over 180,000 hectares are already protected through QE2 National Trust. Put together, that would be our 5th largest national park, all voluntarily. Many more have committed to enhance biodiversity on their land without formalising it. The way to protect biodiversity on private land is to work collaboratively with landowners, including farmers, foresters and iwi, to incentivise the sustainable use of land and to show them that their work to protect the biodiversity is valued, and then they will want to do more.
The Honourable Damien O'Connor.
Supplementary. Mr Speaker, to the member, is he aware of the EU's requirement to prove that there is no deforestation taking place in areas that are supplying that EU market, and that, in fact, the protection of SNAs will assist farmers to access that high-value market?
Andrew Hoggard.
Yes, I am aware of that clause in the ETA, and what I would say and point to is the fact that there is already, the EU Free Trade Agreement, but there is already a great number, as I pointed out, of farmers who are voluntarily protecting biodiversity. When I go and visit farms and I see farmers now, they are taking massive pride in the work they are doing on their farm. We will work collaboratively with them to enhance that effort and to do more.
Speaker. Point of order.
A point of order. Honourable Carmel Cipollone.
Mr Speaker, my question is next. Seemed that supplementary questions were over. I'm speaking to the Speaker's ruling 170-4, which is ministers not only have a right to determine which of them is the appropriate minister to answer a question, they also have a duty to the House to decide on the appropriate minister to answer. Mr Speaker, the question I put up today, which is question 3, was initially put forward to the Minister for Social Development and is with respect to the MSD emergency housing grants. It has been transferred to the Minister for Social Housing. However, it is the Minister for Social Development that has responsibility for the grant.
Okay. Well, I want to rule.
Speaking to the point of order.
The Honourable Chris Bishop.
The member makes a good point, but the member may also have missed what I said in the House yesterday, which is that this government has taken a decision to make the housing-related functions relating to emergency housing the responsibility of the housing portfolio. Those functions have been delegated to the Associate Minister of Housing, Minister Potaka, which is why the question has been transferred into the housing domain. I appreciate that's a difference from the past, but that's been a deliberate policy decision.
We're going to fix it, unlike you.
I'll hear from the right on Winston Peters.
Mr. Speaker, you're dealing with a point of order before the end of question time with respect to question 2. And so why did you take that point of order when we still hadn't got rid of the supplementaries for the second question? It's just not the order of business.
That's right, but we're doing it anyway. So, Ricardo Mendes, here we are. Don't argue. Don't argue.
Speaking to the point of order?
Is it the same point of order or not?
It's speaking to the point of order, yes.
Well, it better be new stuff because I'm ready to give the ruling on this.
Okay. So just responding to what Mr Bishop said, there's a difference between the housing side of the emergency housing and what MSD frontline staff are responsible.
That's not a point of order. I spoke the other day about the need for people to be specific about which point of order they're speaking to. That is not speaking to a point of order. It's offering an opinion.
Because ruling 1704. And
Oh, wow, we've got like 2 speakers over there.
fine. Looking forward. Yeah.
Don't interfere when someone is
Please stand up.
when someone is taking a point of order. The House is silent. Now, just say to Mr Menendez March, this is something that I am ready to rule on. So make his point, make it succinct if he wants to, but we will be moving on beyond that.
So I'll make it succinct. MSD frontline staff have a direct responsibility to the delivery of emergency housing grants. Therefore, the responsibility on both questions 3 and 6 sit within the Minister of Social Development.
You're offbeat again, because if anyone reads Speaker's rulings from about 170 right through to 174, there are numerous recommendations from multiple speakers that make it clear that it is the government's choice as to who answers the question, not the Speaker's. If I refer particularly to 1741, it makes it clear that only in very exceptional circumstances would the Speaker interfere, and I don't intend upending those previous rulings. We move now to question number 2, in the name of the Honourable Carmel Cipollone.
Order, sir.
Point of order.
I accept that ruling, and I accept the explanation given by the Leader of the House. But it is on the basis of both that I raise this point of order, is that if on that basis questions are transferred to the Honourable Tama Pōtaka, I find it interesting, therefore, that my question, which was originally posed to him, has been transferred to Chris Bishop. I refer to Speaker's ruling 1735. If the Leader of the House, the Minister of Housing, has said that all responsibility regarding emergency housing, social housing, has been delegated to Tama Pōtaka, I don't believe that there is justification to then transfer my question, which relates solely to that, to the Honourable Chris Bishop.
Well, 1735 doesn't quite get to that point, but...
Speaking of the point of order.
Speaking of the point of order.
The question on the Mr McAnulty's question has been transferred to me because, and I appreciate that he may not have read the delegations, but the question of funding for IRRS places and the structure and funding of the appropriations for vote housing within my delegation, the delegations make it clear that the social and emergency housing delegation sits with Minister Pōtaka. We have actually clarified what was a frankly pretty messy situation before.
Thank you. Move to question number 2 in the name of the Honourable Carmel Cipollone.